if I tell you there's 4 questions that you can ask to dissolve every single negative thoughts that you have? What I understood about how this modality came about was something like this. Byron cked suffered from depression and she hated herself so much. And one day when she is sleeping, a cockroach climbed onto her leg and suddenly she had a spiritual awakening. And from that point onward, she developed the 4 questions which has lifted thousands of people from suffering. When I touch cockroach, I wake up my neighbors instead of my spirituality. Therefore, instead of relying on cockroach, I actually dig out a lot of Byron ckd's materials from her books and her video to understand how she applied all these 4 questions to her life. Now, long story short, you ask these 4 questions. Is it true? Is it really true? How do you react if you believe this thought? Who would you be without the thought? Well, I feel like my teammate shouldn't be late all the time. Like, he gets his things done, but every time he gets things done, it takes like 10 years, you know? Well, is that true? I mean, not exactly 10 years, but you get my point. He takes a very long time, and sometimes even my grandma can finish a marathon before he completes a task. Is that really true? I mean, yes, not the grandma part, but he is definitely slow. Well, how's the reality? Is he on time? I mean, okay, not really. The reality is he's just not on time, he's slow, he's late. And how does it feel to argue with reality? Well, I mean, I get very agitated and irritated, I feel horrible. Yeah, people just come late sometime, it can't be helped. And it's just them doing them. What do you feel when you believe this thought, you know, people shouldn't be late? Well, I can't handle conflict that well, I get grumpy, I get upset, I get agitated, I can't run businesses effectively. Now, who would you be without this thought? Notice we are not forcing anything to change, I'm not asking you to change, just play along with the question. Well, I would be really calm, and I wouldn't get as agitated or irritated as much. But you know, I still need to bloody make sure that he's on time, right? Otherwise, how am I gonna deliver to my client? How will business run smoothly? Now, it doesn't mean we don't do anything about it at all in our business. But what inquiry allows us to do is to allow us to come from this space where we feel peaceful, and that's when we can really do what's necessary. Whether that means changing his role, setting a stricter boundary, wise words. It makes sense. Now, turn it around. My teammate should be late. Yeah, exactly. That's how people are sometimes. Some people are always on time and fast. Some people are slower and they are late. And I also get to learn how to manage team dynamics. Therefore, he should be late. Now, even though just now was a role play with 2 people, the reality is it was just me writing down a piece of paper. And Byron ckd also said at some point, if you do the work deep enough, you can also focus on reframing some of these big negative contexts and thoughts that we have. Like, she shared an example in which she goes, well, there's really no such thing as not being productive. As far as I want to say that I understand, I get it. Watashi wa a normal human being who can't understand deep thoughts like that. But the power lies in doing it so often until this whole 4 questions flow just become automatic for you, and you automatically dissolves a lot of the negative thoughts. More people should care about climate change. Is it true? Yeah. Is it really true? No. How do you feel if you believe this? I may feel a little bit bad and demotivated. Without it, I feel like, oh, I'm actually energized. I'm enlightened. Now, if life is a video game, then I gotta say that's one really good cheat code for us to have. But once again, I also want to share that it is very much about working in progress. There's this one point I was coding and I was just like this code is supposed to work. Why is it not working? You know you can do 4 questions.
I've practiced self-inquiry for about 100 times last week. Don't you dare ask me to do the 4 questions right now.
And moving on, let's talk about my thoughts on this modality. Now, number 1 is that I'm surprised at how it works with our whole body, our emotions too. If you watch some of the videos of her facilitating some session, you can also see how people, they cry, they let go of some of this emotion as they do some of this work. And my second thought is that after a while, it does get very repetitive and you need to apply it to a lot of little thoughts that shows up. but that's also part of the work. And my final thought is that it's also a really practical coaching tool to use. It's almost like any beginners, newbie, almost anyone, even like a kid, can take it up and start applying it and start seeing results from it. Now, in terms of tips to do it well, I first want to say that I don't feel it works very well with things where it's emotionally really intense. And Byron Katie herself gave a pretty good example.
But would you say the same thing to someone a few minutes after they'd been raped?
No, they're not very open to inquiry.
We can actually just, give space for our emotion to pass, or to use some modality that work with some of this incident first. Then only we circle back and do inquiry when we are in a state to be able to do so. And my personal experience is also that the effectiveness of the whole 4 questions and inquiry largely depends on how effective our turnaround is. Because if you do a very effective turnaround and it lands, it's just like... Byron Katie has given a really powerful refrain. I'm looking forward to get triggered again, so I can really heal what is within me that's still unhealed. What a powerful reframe. And the last final tip that I really want to share is it has to sit well with you. Yeah, that thought is not true. Yeah, it's not real. If I have it, I stress. If I don't have it, I'm liberated, happy. It's just saying for the sake of saying, and it's just not very effective to do things that way. So give yourself some time to pause, and if something don't land, just sit with that thoughts for a while. So all in all, I would say that this has been a very practical and effective modality. It is definitely one good modality that can be applied in a lot of things in our life. So that's all I want to share with you in this video. Have a good day.